So the topic for tonight is patience. And as I was preparing for that, I was looking into what would be a really nice mantra that we could use. And as I was going down the rabbit hole with it, this mantra is the one that came up to me. We don't have time to go into its origins deeply, but I wanted to just share with you just a little bit of context so that as we're chanting it, you can simply enjoy placing it in that framework. So let me go ahead and do that. The Heart Sutra is considered one of the most well-esteemed and well-known and well-loved sutras in the many different Buddhist schools. And in the Heart Sutra, we have Avalokiteshvara Avalokiteshvara speaking and speaking truth. And one of the most well-known phrases that has been explored in human consciousness from the Heart Sutra is this phrase where Avalokiteshvara reveals to the person she's addressing, reveals this truth. Form is emptiness, sunyata, and emptiness is form. And of course, we could spend so much time just on that. And in that, what she says is that all of the skandhas, that is, all of the aspects of human existence, that's skandha, that word would mean human existence. This is true for all of the aggregates of human existence. And in this Mahayana Buddhism and other forms of Buddhism, but I'm drawing upon Mahayana, there are these 5 elements of human existence that are all emptiness. Form, rupa, feeling, vedana, volitions, sankhara, perceptions, samnya, and consciousness, vijnana. And what she's pointing to there is that all these aggregates speak of reality, but they're dependently originated. They are not reality. And with our topic today being patience, it seemed appropriate that we would recite a mantra that would let us step into this, because when it comes to our spiritual path and our growth, when it comes to that, oftentimes what is part of a skillfulness we're developing or living from is patience, because there is an urging within us to become aware of our essential nature, to become in our awareness the fullness of consciousness. And that becoming process has lots of unexpected twists and turns to it. And what is an illumination, what is a transformative moment, sometimes we expect of our process and our path that will usher us along more quickly, if not instantaneously. So we're going to open up to this emptiness is form and form is emptiness, because in the Heart Sutra, at the end, Avalokiteshvara reveals this mantra, Tayata Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. And we're simply going to chant it over and over again. She reveals that this mantra is the perfection of wisdom. And where does patience truly originate from? It's a source of wisdom, isn't it? It's a source of wisdom. All right, so whirlwind there into the mantra. I invite you to close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, notice what's on your mind right now. What are you feeling? What's your body like? What is your inner state? All of this is, and all of this is the expression of consciousness. We can't not be what our essential nature is. If there's any sense of separation, it is quite simply our own misperception. So we open up to the patience that is required as our awakening process spans itself over the years of our lives and the breaths that make up our life. As we begin to tone our mantra, because we'll be toning it quickly, I'd like to invite you to, if you can, keep your eyes closed and begin chanting with me as you're able to. But if you'd really like to know the words, then simply open your eyes and look at the words in the chat box. Opening ourselves to the perfection of wisdom. Inviting in a breath. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayata 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 gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayate gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayata gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayata gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Tayate 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 gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Jayate gate gate para samgate bodhi swaha. Jayate 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 gate sarakam gate bodhi swaha. Jayate gate param gate parasam gate bodhi swaha. Jayate gate sare gate parasam gate bodhi swaha. Jayate gate param gate parasam gate bodhi swaha. Jayate 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 gate parasam gate bodhi swaha. And we bring our opening meditation to a close, holding intentions that wisdom may be experienced among us all during our time together today. I invite you to open your eyes, bring the palms together in front of the heart. Great, yeah. And if you want to put your cameras on so I can see your faces, that's awesome. I'll do a short reflection. So the topic is patience. And I like the word patience a lot because its root is similar to the word passion. And the popular understanding in our cultures with passion is that passion is it's like juicy. You know, it's got a lot of longing to it. It's got movement to it. It's got fullness to it. And in the best sense of the word, to be passionate for life is something that in many ways, I hear many people say they long to have at all times, to have that kind of momentum to their lives. And yet at the same time, oftentimes I hear in spiritual circles the use of the word patience as though it's something that everyone's wrestling with. Oh, I gotta be patient. Almost like saying it that way is a bit of resistance to it. The agony of it all. I have to be so patient. Right? It not always, and I'm not stereotyping, but I hear it a lot, and it so easily can be that way. This sense of, wow, we've had this inspiration, and something of us was infused with insight or a fragrance of freedom or something that was healing and transformative. And then we discover there's a certain ordinary quality to our lives that we think doesn't match the expansive, inspired moment that we have. And therefore, we have to have patience with ourselves. Patience. When you look at the etymology of patience and passion, you'll see that around the 1200s, 1300s, both of those words seem to point to a certain enduring suffering, enduring pain, both of them. Passion was largely held in that category of patience at that time, as we are in the capacity or the skillfulness or the willingness. The word willingness was used in there with the etymology with both those words of to endure something very difficult. And even in Christianity, you have what? The Passion is referred to the actual events in the life of Jesus that were the torture and crucifixion. The Passion is referred to that. So you get those connotations with that word passion and patience. But what you'll see is coupled with passion, that is where I actually want to bring us with patience, is in some of these, 1,000 years ago or so, it was also a reference to being emotional. And in one strand of etymology, you'll find that passion was used in that culture to talk about when somebody was angry, and angry can come off as kind of an aggressive attitude or out of control or ballistic. But what I found interesting with this was that then the word passion almost got reduced into it. Oh, it's emotional. And that emotional state is not a good state, is not something to be desirous of. It's something to actually keep in control, keep in its place, or even, as many cultures have done, repress it. And how often even the feminine characteristic, not women, but the feminine characteristic that is emotive, generative, is seen as in many centuries, not fully today, but many centuries, that emoting was seen as something that was irrational. And that irrationality was seen as something that was bad, at times bad. Isn't that something, right? Isn't that something? So you bring then this patience and this passion forward, and you get these muddy waters that can leave us today with some tendrils, some collective tendrils, that to be patient with ourselves is to endure the suffering of the passionate part of our being. And the passionate part of our being is because in later cultures in the 1600s, this was seen with this suffering, seen as deprivation, as lack, as everything of we don't have it. So you can see where all of this has contributed to a sort of muddy situation in relation to a part of ourselves that is holy, that is divine. The passionate quality of our nature is what I would term as the pulse of holy longing. And that longing being the becoming qualities of our divinity. The reflection for tomorrow is going to be just a practice that I've already recorded, just a practice that's called holy longing. Because tonight, what I want to open up to us as a group to share is, what is your take on this? And what ways do you find within yourself you are redeeming your passionate nature, the qualities of yourself that are the longing of the divine within yourself, that are meant to be the momentum and the flow of how you're living your life, that aren't meant to be seen as that out of control part of yourselves or something that you're being patient with. There I go again. But rather that those very attitudes are meant to be the place where healing can happen, so that the passion of your being can sing its song. I don't know if you watched the shift that I put in one of the newsletters, but in it, where Dr. Wayne Dyer, where I pulled upon him for some of the reflection for that day. But he was quoting Tolstoy, one of Tolstoy's stories, one of his writings, where this man was on his deathbed and had the regrets that he regretted his whole life. And the takeaway is, don't die with your song inside of you. So where are you in your relationship with this passionate divine quality of your nature? And how can you harness patience, the skillfulness to walk the journey with this? How can you harness patience not to be at odds with yourself? Oh, I've got to be patient with this, with myself, or with life, or with whatever's happening in life. How can you harness patience to be in the flow with the evolution of your being into this fullness? Because somehow that's a beautiful process. I'm sure you've seen them. There are lots of those videos that are taken where they do the recording. There's even lots of movies where they do the slow recording, and they slowly record something in nature going from seed form all the way to the fullness. A typical one would be a flower, right? A flower, kind of the stem coming out of the earth, and they'll fast forward the video. They'll take it in slow motion, and it'll come up, and the little leaves will pop out, and then the little bud will come, and then the bud begins to ravel into more parts of the bud, and then that begins to slowly open, and then it opens open, and then it's fully opened. And I don't know about you, but when I watch those videos, that whole process is inspiring. It's all marvelous. How can we harness that kind of patience, that kind of skillfulness with ourselves for the slow movie that we are in becoming the full song, in becoming the full passionate flow that we are as divine beings in human form. So I want to end the recording now and open it up for your reflections on this, the patience and the passion, and where you are right now in your own journey in relation to these things.